Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome everybody to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the Hockey Think Tank community. A place for all parents, players, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We are bringing on one of the founders of Toph Sports in Toronto, Ontario. It's Kevin Shier. What an episode this was. We are huge believers in multiple sports, playing multiple sports, how it can make you a better person, how it can make you a better hockey player at the end of the day, how it can decrease burnout, how it can increase the playing ability that you have. It can decrease the amount of overuse injuries that you have. If you listen to the podcast, you know we talk about this all the time. But what a story Kevin has. He has this company, Toph Sports, where it's a multiple sports company where they have soccer, they have hockey, and they have lacrosse, and it's all streamlined. And instead of having schedule conflicts, it's all within one roof. Very, very, very cool concept up there in Toronto. But before we do get over to Kevin, let's bring on the talent of the podcast, one Jeffrey J. Hulavecchio. Vex, what's shaking, bacon?
What up? I love this podcast here, obviously, because you know how I feel about helping kids become better athletes, which then in turn makes them better hockey players. So for me, this is one I was super excited about and excited to hear about how this whole thing worked. But this week was my first week going back to kind of working a little bit more. It was my first week at TPH here in St. Louis. TPH St. Louis, run by one of my former pro guys, Phil McRae, who we've had on the podcast. Unbelievable guy. I think this is like year 5 for him. And to see how much Phil has grown the program here, grown the offerings in the program, continued to bring in some of the best coaches to help these kids with their individual skill, their individual game, their off-ice training. Obviously, what's up for me. It's been really cool to be a part of TPH for every year and see it grow year after year. So this is my first week back this week, and it's really cool to see all the kids, and it's so cool to see them on their first day. Well, for me, back their first day of school after 2 weeks off for the paternity stuff, and just seeing like the difference on day one, year after year, of these kids who work hard year round. So very, very cool, and kind of cool that we did this podcast, right as I'm getting back into TPH, because it's kind of similar where they're all about like well-rounded education and well-rounded, rounding out all these things. They do tons of community work, and they do, like just so many different things that a traditional school doesn't do, and a traditional program doesn't do. So really cool to kind of be there this morning for a few hours, and then on the podcast here with Shier talking about it.
Yeah. It's a really interesting, it's cool to think outside the box a little bit.
Love it, man.
Like the thing that's nails on a chalkboard for us all the time is it's always been done this way. Right. And that's not to say that every new way is great or every new way is perfect. And there's always some convention in experience and the way that things have been done, let's say. But man, when people say that to me, it makes me feel awful. I'm just well, we've done it this way. Well, okay. Does that mean it's the best way? Can we make it better?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Can we make it better? Not throw the whole thing out, but just, can we make it better? I just also think all this, what would the word be? Not monotheistic, because that has to do with religion, but this tunnel vision on one thing. You got to, they're kids, man. They're kids. Let's get them to experience things and try different sports and be around different coaches and be in different locker rooms and different environments, coaching different ways to attack a game in different games. All these things are going to make them so much better off as human beings and also as hockey players. So I love it.
Yeah, man. I love it. I love it too. Well, I hope you guys caught my drift a little bit and got the chance to, it's been weird. We've been doing this almost 6 years with the same exact intro, and I had to change the intro up a little bit. I changed the intro up a little bit, guys. Why is that? Because this hockey think tank community is going to the moon. It's absolutely going to the moon. And so we've done a few things to make it better. You know, as we're talking about right now, like we're always looking for new ways and new things to make it a little bit better. And one of the things that we're going to be doing now moving forward is we're going to have a guest speaker every month. Once a month, we do a Zoom call with everybody in our community. They have access to it. And our first speaker, guys, we're bringing in the big guns here. We're bringing in the big guns here. But our first speaker is none other than University of Michigan head coach Brandon Naurato, a very good friend of both Vex and I. So if you're a part of this community, you get access to that call where you get to interact with Nar and pick his brain on hockey. And he's one of the smartest hockey people in the entire world. And really cool that we're going to be able to get him. And so all the people in our community get the opportunity to, you know, ask him questions and hear him talk hockey and interact with him on a little bit more of a personal level. And we're really excited to be able to do that. And that's what the community is all about. The community is all about collaboration. The community is all about inspiration and just becoming a better version of ourselves. And not only are you getting access to, you know, myself and Vex with a lot of the things that we do, but we want to bring on some of our friends and some of the people that we know in the business that can help to make you better as well. And so NAR, there's not many better, if any, in the world at making people better. And so we're really excited to do that. The date of when NAR is going to come on is going to be in October. It's going to be October 20th. So if you want to get access to that call and you want to join the community, go to community.thehockeythinktank.com and sign up for it. We already have over 150 plus members in there. And that's one of the cool things is you get access to all these different people and the conversations that happen within the community. Those are really cool. We've had everything from, hey, you know, I would really like to change my power play. What are some things that you guys do? To there's a lot of parents on there that, hey, my kid's going through something. Hey, have any other parents on here had to deal with this with their kid? Maybe their kid's being sat. Maybe their kid isn't enjoying whatever it may be. But like we have this community that we've created where there's so much back and forth, so much collaboration on different things. You know, I do a Tactics Tuesday every Tuesday where I will draw up and diagram a certain structure on the ice or a certain drill or something like that. Vex comes on every Wednesday and talks about Wellness Wednesday and different things that you can do to be much better mentally and physically from a health standpoint. Dr. Cassidy Preston, he's a big part of this. Every Sunday we have Sports Psych Sundays where he puts out a little bit of a video that people can watch and interact with. Like this thing's awesome, guys. I so enjoy it and so appreciate the perspective of everybody that's on there. And so, like I said, now we're trying to make it better every day and bringing on these guest speakers that are so good at what they do and can provide so much insight in the hockey world. So having NAR on. So like I said, again, community.thehockeythinktank.com, and it's going to be awesome. Vex, how excited are you for that?
I mean, for me, the community allows, I want to get more input into the show from people that listen to the show a lot. The people who are part of the community are people who listen to the show, are always asking us questions, are always engaging other users in the community. Like Toph and I do this because we love hockey. It is why we are who we are. It's shaped us as human beings. It's shaped us as coaches, as fathers, as sons. And we want to give back to that and being able to share our experiences even more directly than just the show, being able to have more in-depth conversations, being able to get on our monthly call. That's part of the community. We get on and anybody who wants to join the call. And now we have like in-depth knowledge of all these people that are part of the community. And while we're asking them questions, how's your week going? How's your month going? How's preseason going? Oh, you got tryouts coming up, you know, oh, it's your birthday. And everybody, how are they doing it in Texas? Oh, well, over here, they're doing it this way. And in Nebraska, just like all these, it's really, really freaking cool because the podcast is a lot more one-sided, us talking towards people that we hope are listening. The community is an actual conversation. So for me, like having that ability and you know, people coming into St. Louis, we're in the community and just like, hey, Vex, I'm going to we're playing at this rink. Can you stop by? Like it's making it more real life and less like just something you listen to. And for me, that's what hockey is about.
Yeah. And Vex and I say it at the end of every podcast, like part of the joy that we get from doing this podcast is the interactions that we've had with you guys, whether it's a DM on social media. There's been plenty of times where I've ran into people that listen to the podcast in rinks all over North America, which is insane, with the reach that we have. And this gives us the opportunity to be able to do that even more. And it, like you said, it's much more of a two-sided conversation, which for us is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and we appreciate your input. We appreciate your insight, and you get the opportunity to share it with our community and gain insight from other people from all over North America and the world as well. So, like I said, go to community.thehockeythinktank.com, sign up today, especially do it in the next week or two, to get access to that call with Brandon Naurato, head coach at the University of Michigan. And so, with that, we should get over to our guy, Kevin Shier here. Awesome conversation. To find out more about what he's doing, go to topsports.ca. And as you'll see on the podcast, or as you'll listen to on the podcast, or see if you're listening to us on YouTube, the acronym of TOP. Pretty dang cool. Pretty dang cool. We'll let him tell you about it. But we also have some people to thank before we do get over there. First people we want to thank is icehockeysystems.com, our title sponsor. These guys are the absolute best. What a service they are providing to the hockey world. Go to icehockeysystems.com, and what will you get? You will get thousands of drills at your disposal. You will get whiteboard explanations on systems and structure and breakdowns and things like that from high-level hockey people. The ability to go in there digitally or virtually and draw up your drills and send them out to your team before practice, send them out to your parents, create a library, whatever you want to do. Amazing. You can also get this for every coach in your organization as well by going to the associations platform, which is something that we have partnered with them to do. And so go to icehockeysystems.com, look up that associations platform and get it today. Jeffrey.
I want to say thank you to Train Heroic. Train Heroic is the unbelievable app that's allowing me right now to train. I don't know, it looks like on my board across from me here, it looks like probably a little over 1,000 people on the app right now, from Division III teams, USHL teams, NAHL teams, NA3 teams, midget teams. I have youth teams, women's teams, so many different athletes. This app allows me to train, and for such a cheap price, which is the reason that I do this. I want to help people who can't afford a legit coach like myself, or can't get to the gym, or have to work out at home. Whatever it is, Train Heroic, the app, has allowed me to do that and work with thousands upon thousands of athletes all over the world. So if your team is looking for in-season or off-season training, or a training camp workout, or anything, please reach out to me. It's extremely affordable, and videos of everything. You also get video calls with me when I work with teams. So thank you to Train Heroic for allowing me to work with so many new players that I would never have had the chance to. I also want to say thank you to Cured Nutrition. Cured Nutrition is the CBD company that I'm with. You can go to curednutrition.com, try anything on their website with my discount GMBM. Or if you have any questions about CBD, what is it? Why use CBD? How does it help? When do you take it? Anything, please reach out to me. I had to get certified in endocannabinoid nutrition years ago when I was starting out my CBD journey. With all the obviously traumatic brain injuries I sustained in my career, always looking to recover better, faster, smarter, and function at the highest level I possibly can with all the things I do daily. So CBD definitely helps. I take it twice a day, every day. Please reach out to me or go to curenutrition.com. Use my discount GMBM.
Boom. Also want to thank Helios Hockey. What an unbelievable product. This is a sensor that you put into your shoulder pads, and it gives you real-time feedback on everything from your stride and stride mechanics to what they call a hustle score, which the kids absolutely love. Every time you're moving on the ice, it's lighting up and it's giving you some feedback on what you're doing out there. So go to helioshockey.com and use the coupon code ThinkTank, one word, and you will get a 20% discount on your pro annual or pro 24-month subscription. The game changer for Helios Hockey is it syncs up this sensor with any video that you're using, whether it's Live Barn, whether it's an iPad, whether it's a camera, and you will get instant cutting of your shifts at the end of every game. Imagine that. Oh my God, what an absolute game changer. Wish I had this when I was younger. Would have made me so much better. So go to helioshockey.com today. Use that coupon code ThinkTank, one word, or you can go to helioshockey.com/teams and you can get this for your entire team at a great discount. Also want to thank Crossbar. This is a one-stop shop solution for handling all of your youth hockey operations. Guys, I can't believe it. So we work with so many different youth organizations now, and it is amazing how many of these clubs have switched over to Crossbar for their website and everything that they do on their back end. It looks so clean. It's and it's just really streamlines all the operations to make life so much easier for people who are doing the work on the back end for your club. So what are some things that they do? Obviously, there's a modern website design. It looks really, really clean. You can get registration set up in minutes for everything from your entire season to drop-ins and lessons. There's a club scheduler that makes things really, really easy and efficient to get your scheduling done within the club. A 5-star mobile app where you can speak to everybody in the organization, or you can do it specifically by teams. Financial tools and reporting, volunteer management, facility rink management. Like, honestly, everything that you need to do to operate an organization, you can do very easily with Crossbar. So go to crossbar.org today and check it out. Man, this is just a phenomenal product. So also want to thank all of you. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for continuing to listen to our podcast. We continue to grind this thing out and continue to do this every week. Number one, because we enjoy it and we have a lot of fun doing it. But also from a lot of the feedback that you give us on the positive impact it's had in your hockey career or your kids' hockey career. And so if you can do us a solid, all that we would ask for is, interact with our social media, interact with our podcast through our podcast app, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Play, we're everywhere. But the more that you interact by liking or leaving reviews or ratings or anything like that, it puts a little sign in the algorithm that we're doing a pretty good job. And when people search for a hockey podcast, ours will come up a little bit more. And if our goal and our mission is to make the hockey world a better place, make it a little bit more positive. And the more that you can help us to share it, then the more we'll be able to do that. So thank you. We appreciate you all so much. This was a phenomenal conversation. So without further ado, here we go with the founder of Top Sports in Toronto, Kevin Shier. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. On our podcast, we always talk about the power of reflection and the power of living life as the best version of ourselves. Well, therapy can help us to reconnect with who we are, what's important to us, and prioritize things that can help us live our best lives. We are huge believers of therapy on this podcast. It really allows us to rethink, reimagine, and reframe much of what is going on in our lives to help us grow into the people that we want to be. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, and designed to fit your schedule. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. TD, Tutty, taking it to the house. Whatever you call a touchdown, they matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Ready to place your first NFL bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score a touchdown. There are a ton of available lines and odds from the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? Score big with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, the number one place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast He's in beautiful Toronto, Ontario. It's got to be going crazy right now. Maple Leaf season is right around the corner. Everybody's losing their minds already, I'm sure. But Kevin Shier, Kevin, how are we doing today, man?
I'm great, guys. Excited to be here.
Excited to have you on. And I kind of know this answer to the question a little bit, but with everybody that we bring on here, we always ask how you fell in love with the game. Your dad, absolute Cornell legend, Pete Shier, shout out, great dude as well. But growing up that way and then having your dad being so into hockey, was that pretty much the impetus for you putting on the skates as well?
Massive. I mean, I think that's probably most people's stories, but he built a backyard rink for 10 years of my childhood and put a heck of a lot of hours into that thing. And I ironically didn't start playing until I was like 8 or 9, which is late, especially up to Toronto, and which is a whole different story. But my dad was, as you mentioned, a pretty good hockey player in his day in 1925. And so he was, a big reason why I started.
1925. For those of you that don't know, so Pete Shier, like legit legend at Cornell. Like I should have looked it up. Do you know how many points he had in his career?
Good question. I think he still has a few NCAA scoring records for defensemen, or maybe Cornell scoring records. I don't know. I think from what I understand, he was a pretty good defenseman. And he played at a time where it was like an 8-9 or a 9-8 win, and he would have like 4 goals as a D-man. Like it's just, he played the 70s. It was a little different, but he was a bit of a weapon.
He's good.
It's probably right around that time when Bobby Orr was coming through and like kind of changing the game for defensemen and allowing defensemen to actually be able to get up in the play and play offense, huh?
For sure. Yeah. He was right around that era, and then played at Cornell, played a little bit of pro, bounced around, and he was. They called him big. What do they call him? The big red cannon or something like that, because he had a massive slap shot. I don't know. Seems like a frat nickname, but he still hangs on to it 40 years later.
Well, I was the exact opposite. I was told I was an elite muffin when I was there. So big red cannon of a slap shot to elite muffin of a shot. There we go. We've come full circle. Well, let me ask you this. So like
little Toph Muffy.
Yeah. So, I was using 100 flex stick that got cut down halfway. Yeah, that was probably 148 flex by the time I cut it down. So true. So true, right?
So bad.
Very interesting. So you played Division I hockey, you played at Union. You had a great junior career playing up in the OJHL before getting there, and you started hockey when you were 8 in a market where if you don't start hockey when you're in diapers, you feel like you're left behind. So talk to me a little bit about just like your youth hockey experience, how your dad may have played a part in that, maybe how the backyard rink played a part in that, and getting into it so late, but still having the success because you're in it right now in Toronto, in the hockey scene, entrenched. It's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. So here you are, don't start till 8, 9 years old, D1, great career. And then how do you rectify that? What was your experience like?
And it's a good question. I'm the typical late bloomer. Like I didn't start skating till I was 4 or 5. I didn't start playing organized hockey till 8 or 9. I didn't play rep hockey until 10 or 11, played AA all the way through to high school, grade 12, walked onto a junior A roster at 18 from a AA team, never played AAA in my life, had 3 years of junior, went down to Union, played a year there, came back to Toronto. And looking back on it, I shouldn't have gotten to where I got to. There's no way. There's no, analysis in the world that says this kid that started at 10 years old or 9 years old and played AA should have played at the level that I ended up playing at, which is kind of cool. And I think for me, it just came back to loving hockey. Like it started with the backyard rink. It started with playing ball hockey outside. I grew up in a time similar to you guys where it was pond hockey and ball hockey and unstructured play. And you didn't go and scroll TikTok for 14 hours a day and sit on the phone. It was go out inside and play till the streetlights come on. And to me, that's what fueled my love for hockey, was just playing with my buddies. And that's what made me want to get better. It's what made me drive to continue to work hard and get to where I got to. But my hockey journey was totally atypical. I wasn't on the brick quadruple A team at 8 years old, and I wasn't playing AAA hockey at 13 and on an OHL draft list. I was on nobody's draft list when I was 15. And fast forward 5-6 years, I was still playing at a higher level than some of those guys who were drafted at 16. So it was the long-term development piece, which I think, is part of what I do now, which is really cool. Again, full circle. But yeah, it started, very, very innocently as a backyard rink and ended up at, a fairly good program and playing some pretty decent hockey.
Weird
How that works.
Vex.
I mean, as you said, it's atypical. I wouldn't even say that it's atypical, because there's tons of players on the highest level teams that aren't really getting any recognition. You know what I mean? It's not so obviously there's going to be the studs that are going to be studs their whole life, but that's such a small percentage. Like I was the last pick of my AAA team and played the least amount of minutes my entire first year of AAA that I played. USHL, I was healthy scratch my first year, in and out of the lineup, barely played, absolute bender. My first year in USHL. Even in college, like had to battle, was played on a fourth line with Matty Claxon, absolute meat stick, turned pro because he could beat the wheels off a guy. And we were line mates the entire year, and nothing against Matty. We played so well together because we just played meat and potatoes, but like, he had a better career than most of the guys that played in the USHL, most of the guys that played Division I, and nobody would have been like, oh, he's going first round. I love that, so many people, they just need to hear these stories that like, you loved the game. So you wanted to play more, you wanted to do better. You learn, you learn, adapt, apply, you keep doing that. As you get older, the players who are able to do that and get better over the long term is what really, really matters. So I love hearing it. I think it's less atypical than people think. Obviously your specific story, not playing until you're 9-10 years old, but that's how fast like development can happen also if you're doing the right things development wise as well.
Yeah, I agree. It was atypical. You're right. There's a lot of stories of that. Undrafted or came out of nowhere or whatever, played a different sport. Like if you look at other sports, like Nikola Jokic, for example, didn't start playing basketball until he was a teenager. And he's one of the most dominant NBA players we've seen in a long time. There's so many stories of the late bloomer. And, I think it's funny. Like we talk to parents all the time about, what development path their kid should take and where they need to be playing at a certain age. And it's like, if you could go forward 20 years and then look back on the decision you're about to make, you would make it differently every single time. And I think that's such a, giving perspective after the fact is impossible, but we try to just help parents understand that it's not about the best 7-year-old or 8-year-old hockey player. It's about developing, loving hockey, loving any sport you play, building character. Like the long-term view on this whole thing is what matters, because everybody ends up in beer league hockey or, beer league soccer. No matter if you're Connor McDavid or, me or whatever, you all end up at the same place. So why not enjoy it and just relax, take a deep breath, provide some perspective, and, it's something we talk about all the time, but it's I know you guys are big into that too.
Well, I'll even take it a step further. You don't have to have life figured out even at 15. I think you mentioned like 7 or 8. Like, you're a great example. Like the people who we've just had up on the podcast in the last 2-3 months, Vex, Andrew Alberts didn't make his high school hockey team in Minnesota at 15. Matt Molson didn't make AAA, played AA at 15. Dan O'Donohue signed an NHL contract, never played AAA hockey until he was, I think, a U16 or maybe even a U18. Like there's this race to whatever the next age is, and we feel like we have to have everything figured out and like this plan in place. But guess what? Plans change. and like honestly, like I feel like Vex, you talk about, and this is kind of going along with what you were saying, Kev, like you talk about not wanting to be the player at the bar stool at 35, saying, I wish I woulda. Like, Kev, what you just said is parents should feel the same way. I don't be the parent on the bar stool at 35 saying, I wish I woulda with my kid because I push him too freaking hard. Yeah, sure. Like, I know people that I've played with, and I say this in my parent education talks all the time. I know people that I've played with who are uncomfortable with their dads around their kids. So grandpa and kid, based on how they were parented when they were growing up by their dad. They don't want that for their kid. They wouldn't have wanted that for themselves. And so now, am I saying that we have to be so soft and like, we're not going to challenge? No, like that's not the case. Again, it's not a black or a white thing, but like, what I'm seeing is, and not even necessarily, honestly, from like a malicious point of view of like, I need to make sure that my kid makes the NHL for me. Like, I think most parents just want it for their kid, and the environment that's been created in youth sports, not just youth hockey, youth sports has made it so professional. So they feel like they have to follow this path and be this type of parent and all that kind of stuff for their kid to achieve their dreams. So it's not even necessarily with malintent, but like, everybody has a different path, guys. Like, we can't say it enough. Everybody has a different path. And, we get enamored with this, CCM stick 68 and get enamored with the brick and, all these invite AAA, quadruple A tournaments that happen. But like, your life's not over. Your kid's career is not over if they don't make that stuff. If anything, it's good to get kicked in the seat the younger you are and to have to face a little bit of adversity. So you know how bad you want it now, and you know how bad you need to work, because to your point, like, how many kids in Toronto, you're in Toronto, right? How many kids in Toronto, their entire life is based upon, and their family's entire life is based upon where they get drafted in the OHL at 15 years old. That's all anybody talks about, from Pee Wee minor until the draft after their minor.
Pee Wee might.
Okay, so
like
Adam, yeah, might.
Pee Wee, man. It's like I had a conversation with a parent the other day, and I was comparing hockey or sports to, what if your kid came to you at 7 and they're like, Mom and Dad, I really want to become an astronaut. Would you walk into his school the next day and say, I don't want him to do anything but science class for the next 20 years? Of course not, because it's insane. But for hockey, we use the model that if I want to play in the NHL, I have to only specialize in hockey for 20 years. And it doesn't work in any other, it doesn't pass the sniff test. We know, research shows that's not how talent is developed. If you're trying to predict success of a 7-year-old, you have better luck going outside and trying to catch a butterfly with chopsticks. It's not going to happen. It's impossible to predict these things. So why not focus on playing different things? Enjoy the ride. It goes far too quick. And I guarantee you, a lot of parents, to the ones you're talking about focusing only on like early success in the OHL draft, 20 years from now are going to have a very different opinion about where they would have or should have put their kid, if they had a do-over, which obviously nobody does. But up here, it's nuts, man. It's the self-proclaimed hockey mecca of the world in a very, very bad way.
Well, to take it even a step further, kind of going back to the OHL draft thing, like, I bet you how many kids get drafted in the OHL, and it ends up being a deterrent to them getting to the next level and actually playing in the OHL. Because I've been drafted in the OHL, I'm hot stuff. I'm really good now. But you have to remember that you still have to work. You're probably not going to play in the OHL next year. And then you got to continue to get better and continue to get better. And junior hockey is a business. So if I don't get better, I'm not going to make the team. Like, how many kids that you've seen, like, get drafted to the OHL and all of a sudden they feel like, I'm done. Like, I don't have to work anymore. And then they don't end up accomplishing the dream of playing in the OHL, versus like a kid who doesn't get drafted, gets pissed off and it gets motivated to prove people wrong and like puts in the work and like becomes even more dedicated. Like, honestly, you're better off not getting drafted than getting drafted in like anywhere past the second round.
Yeah.
in any draft almost.
You can also go to like other teams or get just kind of shopped around. You're right. It's true. It's a bit of a selection bias or confirmation bias. Like, you've made it, you got drafted in the 7th round, but that don't really mean much other than a name on a paper.
Yeah. Just go look at NHL draft boards or OHL draft boards or whatever. Like, how many 7th rounders play? Not very many. How many 6th rounders play? Very few. 5th rounders, very few. They go all the way up to like the 4th round, maybe even the 3rd. And it's different. But like, having the ability to kind of face some of that adversity younger. Like, I like in the fact that I got cut in Pee Wees from a AAA team. It's one of the best things that ever happened to me. Like, really, at the end of the day, Vex, I know you've been cut. Like, Kev, I'm sure you talked about not playing AAA. I'm sure you tried out for a few teams in your day. Like, man, like, I don't know. I can go on all day about this stuff, but hit the adversity quick. And if you haven't, then you're almost setting yourself up for failure, because it's coming at some point. If you don't know how to handle it, then it's tough.
And I've seen it a lot, especially because when I started my training company, I worked with a lot of younger players, and I've worked with a lot. Like I have a bunch of guys that I started working with when they were 9, and now they're 19 or 20. So I've been with them 10, 11 years. So I've seen and worked with their teams. I used to coach a couple of their teams. I've seen the players who were unbelievable at the young ages and didn't hit an adversity. I've seen the ones who hit adversity maybe in the middle before leaving to juniors. I saw the ones who didn't hit adversity till they got to, I saw all the different types of developmental hiccups that people are like worried about. And it's the ones who hit adversity and had to find a way over, around, through, door shut in their face, kick in a window. Like those are the kids that wind up being the most successful. And the earlier they hit adversity, the better it is, because those are the best teaching lessons right there. And they will remember those. Like you remember when you get cut. That is a wound.
Oh, still stings.
That has salt in it. But like literally because of that, you learned I have to do more. I have to give more. I have to do this smarter or work harder, whatever it is. And, getting cut, getting injured for me, 2 best things that ever happened to me in my life, not even hockey, obviously best thing in my hockey career. But for me in life, to just get over things that are seemingly the end of the world, like when you get cut in squirts, like the sky is falling. The world is over. I'm not going to school tomorrow, Mom. The world is over. I didn't make the STL Elite team. No, it's not. And you learn how to dig yourself out of those holes. And it's super, super important. So parents, when these things happen, don't, you should have made the team. You should have done this. No, think about it as a developmental lesson that you can be teaching them, because that's what's going to make them more successful in life and especially hockey later on.
I tell this story all the time when I do my team building stuff, traveling around. I'll do a little Jeff Lavecchio humble brag right here. But when we played select 16s together in trying to make the 5 Nations Cup team, so you made the team our 17s year, and our 16s year, I was the 4th leading scorer in camp. Probably should have made the team. And the coach
should have made the team.
and the coach came in and, was looking for me and wanted to talk to me after our last game and basically told me, hey, and he was trying to be nice, but he was like, hey, you didn't make the team, but you basically deserve to make the team. We're not taking you because of your size. We're going over there. We're Team USA, and we're playing against a bunch of these soft European teams. And, we want to kind of establish a bully mentality, whatever it was. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically told me, we're not taking you because of your height. And I remember, I'll never forget, like it was in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and we're driving home. And it was me and my dad, and I'm throwing myself a pity party in the car about how it's not fair and this and that. And my dad asked me one question that fundamentally changed a lot of my life. And that one question was, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? We can sit here. Hey, like here's the stats. Here's the facts. You're 5'4". You have to be that much better than everybody else just to be even. You're 5'4". You have to work that much harder than everybody else to be that much better just to be even. So we can sit here and we can complain and we can mope about it, or we could do something about it to make sure that something like this never happens again. And I'll never forget that conversation that I had with my dad, because like it fundamentally put me on this other path into hockey. And that's why, a lot of what I talk about is based on my own personal experiences because of how much of an effect it had on me, some negative, some positive. But like, imagine if that car ride home was different with my dad. Imagine if my car ride home with my dad was enabling. It was like, yeah, life's not fair. And I can't believe this. This is BS, blah, 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 blah. I don't have the success that I had in the game. I don't. And that adversity made me stronger. But with that mindset of choosing to see the positive in a situation and choosing to do something about it rather than, the easy thing, which is to mope and complain and whine and make excuses about things that are outside of your control. And so, Kev, I wonder, do you have any stories like that? Do you have anything, as you were kind of going along your journey in hockey or youth hockey journey that signified any kind of that, like a fork in the road? I have a decision to make. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go this way. Yeah. Maybe it was your dad that was involved. I don't know, but anything like that you think could resonate with the kids that are listening?
And I think of a few instances. Like, again, I played AA hockey growing up on a pretty good hockey team, but AA. It's not. I'm not playing against OHL draft picks or guys that we're going to get in the OHL, or even I wasn't even thinking about playing hockey after high school. And in my grade 12 year of high school, I played in this high school hockey tournament over Christmas or just after Christmas. And it was a super successful tournament. I led the team in scoring, or led the tournament in scoring. We won the championship, or I think we won the championship in overtime, scored the OT winner, like just a classic Disney story championship type of thing. And I remember getting back to my house, talking to my dad about, maybe I should stick with hockey. Maybe I should, at that time you're picking where to go to university. If you're not playing hockey, you're not playing a sport. All my friends were going to top universities in Canada and Ontario and going to party and have a good time. And I'm kind of sitting here like, maybe I should give this a chance. And I sat on it for a couple of days, came back to him, and finally I was like, well, look, what's the downside? And I think that was a huge inflection point for me by making that decision to not go the traditional route, by, traditional in the regular sense of going to university right after high school. And it struck this weird chord with me that I was choosing something to do something differently. And I think it always continues to stick out with me of kind of the biggest change in my life, where I went from one direction of all of my friends going to university and taking business or political science or whatever, to taking 3 years off after high school, playing junior for 3 years with a big what if. What if you don't get a scholarship somewhere? What if you suck at junior hockey and get cut in my second year? What if none of this works out and you end up doing nothing? It became this sort of, looking back on, a hugely influential point in my life, because I made that choice without really knowing what was next. And it was a little scary, if I'm honest. And, looking back, it was the best thing I ever did, because it allowed me to do something that I wanted to do, follow my passion. But more than that, going back to adversity, like I had to fight through a lot of those things that I was scared of because of the what if. And looking back on it, like that was probably the most impactful decision I've made in my adult life, that still continues to drive what I do now.
And I would venture a guess to say that a lot of what you did in the backyard, rinks and playing unstructured to develop that passion and love for the game was a huge part, maybe unconsciously or subconsciously, of the decision for you to say, what, screw it. I'm going to do it, because this is what I love to do. And now
I loved it.
You're living your dream. You're affecting so many different people in the Toronto area with the club that you have, which we'll talk about in a second here. And this is what you do now. This is your passion. You're still living in it. And I just think that's really cool. And honestly, Vex, like the more people that we talk to, and I know I say this a lot, but like, man, like the one consistency of every high level player that I've played with, coach, whatever, that's gone on to do great things, is they all love it. They all love it. That should be the number one thing in the front of every single one of our adult minds. Even if your perverse dream is to make sure your kid gets to the NHL in diapers, like make sure that they fall in love with it. Or if it's women's hockey, the Olympics, or the PWHL, like, and just knowing your dad too, and knowing how much he loves the game and knowing how much he loves you, like, that had to have been pretty cool for him to be a part of, like, developing that love for the game for you. And I don't know, man, like I said this after Rucker and Jimmy McGroarty was on our podcast, and Rutt's probably going to play with the Penguins this year. Like, why did Rutt make the NHL? Well, him and Jimmy played a lot of knee hockey in the basement when they were growing up. According to Jimmy, that's a big part of the reason why he fell in love with the game. Create the environment, as a parent, support your kid.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
I'll tell you a funny story. So I had on the exact same lens. I had a phone call last week with a parent who called me to complain about one of our programs because in his view, it was a soccer program. In his view, what they were doing was just playing games the entire session. And he was watching this. Keep in mind, the kid's 6. So he's watching this session and he's like, oh, they're just playing games. Like, when does soccer start? And my response to that was, well, what do you think soccer is at 6 years old? And he's like, well, I want them to do dribbling around cones and learning one-on-ones and whatever. And he's like, all they're doing is playing octopus, or they're playing, red light, green light with a ball. And I was like, well, do you think your kid's enjoying it? He's like, yeah, he never wants to leave. And he wants to come back every single week an hour early to play with the coaches. And I'm kind of, totally. And I'm thinking, like, you're saying that on one hand, but also saying you're not enjoying the program. Where's the disconnect here? And it's exactly what you said, Toph. Like, fun has to be everything. Because especially with 6-year-olds, nobody's made the NHL at 6 years old that I know of. And unless you're having fun and developing passion for sport, they're not going to be in long enough to develop to their full extent anyway.
And, good sir, what is being done in red light, green light? Oh, acceleration, rapid deceleration, rapid change of direction. If the coach is yelling it or showing a card with a hand gesture or something, he's having to do both of those things with his eyes up. Now, if you also have a soccer ball, now he's doing exactly what he's going to have to do in soccer, and he's being forced to do it with his eyes up while he's moving, which is also working on proprioception and understanding where you are in space and time, learning about gaps and how much space you have between people. Those little details, that kid is just having fun in his brain. And I'm guessing that your coach programmed that in for all of the reasons that I just said, on top of it being fun. So he wants to come back and keep doing it every day. I get the same stuff, and I got it. People saying that in my gym for years, and I'm like, yeah, well, my guys are becoming better athletes and getting stronger. Okay, you guys are only getting stronger. Congrats, we win 10 out of 10. What's up? Like, it's got to be fun. They got to want to be in there, and especially for kids. I don't want a kid workout to look anything like a workout at all. It should not look. Get the cones out of here. Like let's play games that, and also are working on their creativity. Like, I'm sure all of you guys know players that were very robotic when they were younger. You can't turn a robot into a creative guy, but you can very easily turn a creative guy into a robot down the road. It's not the same the other way, vice versa. So, like, we want to help these kids learn creativity and expression through their athletic skill and their speed and all these things when they are younger. And then we just build and layer and go from there. It's very hard to do it the opposite way. Very hard. Believe me, I used to be a robot, so I know.
Yeah, it's one of the funniest things is watching a U10 hockey team do a 5-on-0 breakout. And like rinse and repeat, static 5-on-0 breakout. Dump the puck in, the D goes back, off to the winger, up the gut, across to the weak side winger, and up back to the coach. It's like, in what world, in what sport do you get a 5-on-0 breakout with no pressure, no decisions? And I get, like, you got to start and build it, and I get it. But why not deconstruct and make it into a game? We're talking about 8 or 9-year-old kids. Make it into a 3-on-3 small area. Make it into a, whatever. And I know you guys are huge into the small area stuff and age-appropriate drills, but it drives me crazy seeing that stuff. And then you get the comment, oh, my kid's not enjoying it, or my kid's not getting value out of it because they're having too much fun and they're not learning the sport. Are you listening to what you're saying?
Do you actually hear that?
Yeah, and that was a real conversation. That was last week. And I think a lot of parents just don't get the point of what we're doing. And maybe that's on us for not, illustrating it more or describing it, but it's like, to your point, Jeff, what you're saying, like it's bang on across every sport. It's not just a hockey thing. It's I don't know. It's brutal, especially up here where, again, it's the race to like the best 10-year-old hockey player. It's nuts.
Oh boy. Well, let's get into what you're doing right now, Kev. And this is so cool, guys. Like, and if you listen to the podcast, you know how much Jeff and I talk about the importance of playing multiple sports growing up, and you've created an organization that follows those principles more than probably anybody. And so if you can just talk a little bit about first of all, talk a little bit about what you do at Top Sports, and then also what the motivation and the inspiration was to starting it.
Cool. Yeah. So we run hockey, soccer, and lacrosse programs. Young as 4 years old, all the way through to 18. As the kids are getting older, we're expanding our pathway. I think the biggest difference between our program and a traditional sports club is that we have a hockey, soccer, and lacrosse program under one roof. So kids can play multiple sports with no schedule conflicts. They don't have to pick between hockey and soccer. They don't have to, figure out where they're going to go on this weekend. The schedules work, so there's no overlap. So, to give you an example, you got an 8-year-old kid that wants to play all three sports. They can play the same, the similar calendar across all three sports at a competitive level. We're not talking like a house league program. We're talking a single or double A hockey level, a tier 2, tier 1 soccer team, a pretty good level with no conflicts, which is totally unique. I think, one of the biggest challenges as a parent is scheduling, trying to figure out where you're going to go at what time, what to put your kid into. We take all the headache out of that by giving you a year-long calendar that has your exact commitments at exact times and locations for the entire year, which is it's totally unique. It's not something you can find elsewhere. And I think the other thing to that is it's all seasonal. So hockey runs from October to the beginning of April. Soccer runs from April to the end of September, and same with lacrosse. So it's not like you're playing the same sport or multiple sports 12 months a year, but you're playing 3 different sports on a seasonal calendar, which is something that's completely unique. And to my knowledge, one of the only multi-sport programs that exists currently for kids in Canada and potentially the US too.
That's unreal. And what was the inspiration of this? Was it, just doing some research in university and being like, whoa, this is a thing? Was it growing up in Toronto and being like, wow, like there's so many one sport athletes that don't make it? What drove you to start this thing?
It was a lot less flashy than any of that. It wasn't like, hey, let's do a bunch of peer reviewed research and see what makes sense. I have 2 partners and 2 guys.
Was it just common sense, Kev? Just common sense, maybe?
It was part common sense, part dumb luck, honestly. Like it was. So 2 of these 2 guys I knew, one is actually from Connecticut, moved up to Toronto after school, played at Yale, played pro hockey in Germany for like 6 years, super smart guy, came back to Toronto. He had a 7-year-old kid, put him in hockey in the traditional system here, and just saw how ridiculous it was. It was a race to the bottom. It was negative, experiences left, right, and center, unnecessary travel. You're wasting time to drive 45 minutes to play 10 minutes of a hockey game to touch the puck 3 times. And so he and I and another guy got together and basically just said, wouldn't it be cool if we could start something different? Wouldn't it be cool if we could offer a different path to get to the same level, but without sacrificing crazy amounts of travel and time, making it all about the kids' experience, not about egos of parents or coaches, making it about the multi-sport model, not just about playing one sport 12 months a year. If it was, if we wanted to have way more kids, we would just have one sport. But honestly, it's a lot easier and it's a lot more logical to have the 2 or 3 different sports at the same time. And so we patterned it after Westminster Prep in Connecticut, which is where Luke, one of the other guys, went to school. His dad was the athletic director there for a long time. And at Westminster, you had to pick 3 sports a year. You had a fall sport, a winter sport, and a spring sport. And so we really just patterned it after that. The kids don't have to pick all 3, but they can pick 2 of the 3 or 1 of the 3. For us, the full scope of the program comes in when you pick 3 because the schedule is balanced and you get the full well-rounded experience. But, the inspiration for this was just creating a program that was a little bit more balanced, that offered an alternative to the craziness of the traditional sports system here. And TOP stands for the other path. It's an acronym, and it's something for us that nods to, it's not just about building good athletes, but it's building good people and building good, good citizens that are going to help take the world forward. And to that end, we talk a lot with our coaches and kids about character building through sport and using sport as a vehicle to teach character and teach life skills. And, for us, that's the best part of what I do, is seeing the kids who started at 7, who are now 15 or 16, become good young men or young women. And to me, that's all I really care about, is that they become good people, because none of them are going to the NHL at that age. It's just unrealistic. There's definitely, there's a lot to development, of course, but our goal is to develop good people, good athletes, and then third, develop good single sport athletes over time. And I think that's something that we do totally differently than other programs. And we've had lots of success with it so far. Lots of people who are like, oh, it's not real hockey, or it's not, you can't play hockey 6 months a year and get better. And it's, we're just doing something different and offering a program that's unique to people who care and want to do that.
First of all, acronym is badass. What's up? See,
by
that?
the way,
Didn't-
we're gonna have to clip out our facial expressions when you did the acronym. Both Vex and I were like,
oh, I see what you did there. Game recognizes game. I love it. But
it's
yeah,
no
man, like,
GM, but
I mean, that's unreal. I love, it's just, obviously I believe in the multi-sport approach. There's no doubt about it that it works 100%. But just what you said there, man, about developing these kids to be using sports as a vehicle to help them learn the life lessons that they need to be happy, successful, to learn how to bounce back from adversity, like we were all talking about earlier. Like, there is no better vehicle than the one thing in their life that they are absolutely obsessed with. They love doing it. They enjoy it. They have so much fun. They want to do it all day, every day, whatever their sport they love. So we can use this thing as a vehicle, and we should be. And growing up, I'm sure it was the same for you guys. Like, that's what it mainly was. It was so much my coach talking about how to grow up into a good man and a good person and a good teammate and all this stuff that now it's like we never hear about that anymore. It's like, well, what's your My Hockey rankings? How many points did your kid have? And it's like, yeah, dude, we want to build in teaching people how to win because that is important. But like, we can also be doing all these other things that are going to make these kids more well-rounded individuals, able to beat adversity and not have anxiety because they understand that they can control their own life and their own destiny and all these things that are so freaking important. I actually had a guy who I worked with him online with his junior team in the EHL 3 years ago, who just DM'd me last night. I got it this morning, who literally was talking about this literally right here. I don't want to read it all because he's glazing me pretty hard here, and I'm not trying to do that. But, he said, he's like, I didn't make, the team in college, and it sucked, but it's still important to realize how I was as a person outside of hockey. I credit a lot to that to you, doing the little things right, giving the extra effort, doing everything at 100%. I never realized how much it would translate to the real world. In short, thank you for everything. Hockey didn't work out for me, but what I learned from hockey and you will make life work out for me. This is a kid who just got cut from a college program, but he understands that learning to give to himself and to invest in his future and being a good person, like he already sees at an early 20s age, that this is going to take him further in life than his peers. And this is what we got to be focusing on. And that's well-rounded development, physical, spiritual, emotional, intellectually, all these things. And it sounds like Topps is doing that, and it sounds badass, man.
We're trying. I mean, it's difficult in an environment which prioritizes early success. I think that's challenging because you have a team of 8-year-olds who goes up against, like a team of our 8-year-olds goes up against a team of 8-year-olds who plays 12 months a year. And just because of the sheer development hours at that age, you're going to lose probably because they're further along the pathway. But, what I'm probably the most proud of as an example is we have a kid who started with us when he was 8 years old, and he's a decent hockey player. He played hockey, soccer, and lacrosse from 8 years old to 14 years old, all three sports all year, developed at his own rate. And he's now playing in our program at a AA level. His team, he's a captain of the team. Team is fantastic. They're quite good. And he walked on to the high school team that he goes to up here, which is a very, very high-end private school up here. And he is the only kid on that team who doesn't play AAA hockey. And I think that, to me, is like the perfect cherry on top. He didn't make it because of our program. He made it in spite of the things he had to face along the way. He's a fantastic kid. He's a smart kid. But more importantly, he's a good person. He volunteers at our program. He does our Learn to Play Hockey on Sundays with us. He gives up his time to help the next generation. But for me, pulling it full circle, he started at 8 years old. If he had gone to a traditional system, he would never have, he'd been written off at 9 or 10. He was tiny, undersized, really small, not a great skater, but God, is he a smart hockey player. Given 6-7 years of development, playing 3 sports, developing everything, he still plays soccer and lacrosse with us as well. And he's playing on this team with a bunch of other kids that, are in the eyes of the system much better than him, which is really cool for us. And so those stories are not, exclusively why we do what we do, but it's incredibly validating when they come out.
100%. I mean, we just had Matt Molson on the podcast in the last couple of weeks, and Toph said, like, how did you get so good at scoring goals? And he said, I honestly believe playing lacrosse as long as I did was what helped me be playing in traffic. Help me score around the net in tight with guys all over me. He credited a lot of that to playing lacrosse. Like this is going to translate to the ice later on in life. Like he said, maybe at 8, 9, 10, the kids who are skating 6 days a week, 12 months a year, yes, they're going to be better than your kid. But are you trying to have the best 10-year-old or the best 18 or 20-year-old? Right? Like, don't be short-sighted. Development is so freaking important.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely, man. So Kev, like for these kids that are in your program, like what's a typical week like? Like what, coming in with the different sports, I know you said it's kind of like a 3-season kind of thing, but how does it all work? What's a week like for them?
Yeah, it's a good question. Depends on the age. I mean, with the younger kids, it scales, as you can imagine. Like the younger kids are on the ice 2 or 3 days a week in season. They have a handful of tournaments and games throughout the year. It's not totally consuming, but to give you kind of a week in the life as a top athlete or top kid, because they're kids, from September to April or October to April, it's the hockey season. So you're on the ice 3 days a week. Lacrosse and soccer pick up in April and run to the end of October. So there's a kind of a month crossover, which we're in right now. So I'll give you an example of a U9 program. On Friday night, they had a soccer practice for an hour and a half. Saturday morning, they had a soccer game, which is one of their league games. Saturday afternoon, they had a hockey practice. Sunday morning, they had a lacrosse practice. And then Sunday evening, they had a lacrosse game. Keep in mind, 5 out of 5 of these events took place within 5 miles of their house. There's no travel. You don't have to drive all over the city. And Toronto traffic is insane. You don't have to drive all over Toronto. You keep it local. I would say 50 to 60% of the kids they see in each sport are the same kids. So they're getting, team bonding stuff away from just one sport. The coaching philosophy is the same across the board. The development and the tactics that we use to develop these kids is consistent across the board. So, this kid, while 5 events in a weekend might seem busy, these kids are doing stuff anyway, or should be doing stuff anyway, because they're 9-year-old boys and girls. They're driving their parents crazy, sitting at home all day doing nothing. So what we're doing is basically providing this roadmap of, here's your Friday to Sunday. You get 5 events done in a weekend, 2 games, 3 practices. You play 3 different sports. You get the same philosophy. And over time, how that works out is that the kids become really, really good athletes who also play a certain sport. So a really good hockey player will be pretty proficient in soccer because they're a good hockey player. A pretty good soccer player can also be pretty good in hockey, provided they are able to skate and start that at a young age. So, the week in the life is interesting. And the comments we get from parents is that the way we structure our program is the bread and butter. There's no rotating games. It's a set schedule. There's no conflicts with other sport. You don't have to pick between 2 sports on a given day or a given week. We set everything up so the kids can be kids and play sports, and the parents don't have to worry about the other stuff. They just drop them off and pick them up. It's meant to take all the craziness out of hockey or soccer or lacrosse and make it a little bit easier for kids to play other sports.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've told the story before about how my sister had to choose at 8 years old, travel soccer or travel hockey.
Right.
Here in Chicago at 8.
Crazy.
It's wild. So, but like, let's say a kid's interested in baseball. Let's say a kid's interested in other sports. Like, they don't have to do all 3, right? Like they can do just 1 or 2 or whatever. And if they are interested in swimming or, anything else, they can do that as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, multi-sport to us doesn't just mean our sports. We believe that kids should play. Like if I had my way, I would put all of our kids in gymnastics at 7, 8, 9 years old, 100%. Or I'd put them in figure skating at 8 or 9. I'd put them in a bunch of different stuff. And, I think part of our model is allowing and encouraging kids to play other sports that doesn't have to be with us. So we have a flexible, commitment level. So you got to come to like 80% of your team events. But if you have a baseball tournament or a soccer tournament and you tell your coach ahead of time, hey, I can't make it because I've got something going on, amazing. Thanks for letting us know. Have fun. Good luck and go score a goal.
Wait a minute. They're not cut and banished to the annex and their parents are shamed every time they walk in the rink. Shame. Shame. You missed a practice for another sport. Shame. It's crazy.
Yeah, totally. And like we have kids that are provincial level champion chess players. We have a kid who's he won the national figure skating tournament or competition for his age group. He's like a U12 figure skating, unbelievable hockey player. And, if these kids weren't in our program, they would have had to give something up. They would have had to give up chess or give up figure skating or give up soccer. We have countless kids who are unbelievable tennis players or golfers or, lacrosse players. Like, just because we have 3 sports doesn't mean that we don't want them to play other things too. And that's, I think, a bit of a misnomer, is like, just because we have soccer, hockey, and lacrosse, you can't play baseball. Well, baseball's got a time and a place. I think it's a great outdoor sport. Same with chess and figure skating. Like, that, to us, creates a well-rounded person and a well-rounded athlete who's much more likely to be successful as a result of those other things, not just playing one sport 12 months a year.
Vex, do you know how to play chess?
When I was in Norway, I used to play chess once a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There wasn't a lot to do in Lillehammer. So, and everything is 7 times as expensive. And I wasn't making as much in Norway as I was the years following. So we used to go to a coffee shop, which coffee was legit, no joke, like $20 for a coffee, 25. And this is when they were like $3-4 in 2012 or whatever. And, it's tough, but I just learned the opening moves where, like, if you're playing against newbies, like you do these like 5 opening moves, you pretty much can't lose. So I was just like doing the what is it, Cliff Notes version? Do you know how to play?
I know the rules. I wouldn't say I know how to
I don't
play.
remember. I mean, that was friggin' 12 years ago and about 6 concussions ago. So, but I love it. Love strategy games, especially as I get older.
Strategery. Remember that Saturday Night Live back in the day?
Yes. So good. That's pretty cool.
All right. Kev, I got one last question for you here.
Sure.
So what you guys are doing up there obviously is phenomenal, but in everywhere else, there are certain roadblocks to be able to have a program like yours. For like, what kind of advice would you give to traditional hockey programs, in how much we know of the research and how important that we know playing multiple sports are for so many different reasons. We haven't talked about burnout yet. We haven't talked about overuse injuries yet.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about, having a wide palette of different experiences in different sports, which can help you to become a better hockey player, a la Matt Molson playing lacrosse and knowing how to score in hockey. But like, what kind of advice would you give a traditional program to help promote some of these principles, but maybe confined by the structure of what youth sports is now today?
Good question. I think there's 2 angles that I would take on this. One is take the long-term lens. I mean, if a problem is coming up, like a kid can't make something because they're at a soccer game or a chess tournament or whatever, is this going to matter in 5 years? And if the answer is no, then I think my argument would be let it happen. If it's a thing that compromises your moral values or compromises what your program stands for, I think that's a bigger challenge. But things like conflicts or scheduling challenges, or a kid wants to play in a baseball tournament because it's important to him from a social point of view, or whatever the case is, let them play. They're kids. At the end of the day, all they're going to remember is how you made them feel. And if you put that pressure on them to only show up to one thing and don't let them play other things or make their parents feel judged or whatever, like what you said, Vex, like that, I think has such a negative impact on kids and their overall development, like psychologically, mentally, physically. I think that, taking the long-term lens on things is super important and something that we try to do every day. And then I think above all else, make it about the kids. The adults in the room do not matter in this instance. We are here to guide the kids. We are here to provide them support. We are here to provide them the tools to develop as people and as athletes. But everything and every decision we make here at Top comes back to the kids. If it doesn't make the kids' experience better, we're not going to do it. If it doesn't make the kids' enjoyment of a sport better, we're not going to do it. If it doesn't make their passion grow, we're not going to do it. And we're not perfect. We haven't figured out everything. But I think what we do better than most is make it about the kids. And I think that's entirely unique. It's something that often gets lost in the rat race of minor hockey or youth sports, is the egos of parents and adults. And probably what I'm the most proud of is our retention rates across our sports are like 95%. Kids want to come back to the programs. They want to stay with their coaches. They want to be here. And I think that's probably the most powerful metric for me as a director, is how many kids are coming back year over year. If we're losing 75% of our membership every year, that's a problem. I'm very proud to say we're at the high end of 90% and getting better. And I think that all comes back to making it about the kids.
That's a pretty sick retention rate. Amen, man. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for hopping on to talk some multiple sports with us. If you can indulge us for another couple minutes, we're going to do a little 10 questions with you, rapid fire. This will be housed in our Hockey Think Tank community. Huge announcement, which we'll also put on the intro to this. But from now moving forward, once a month, we are going to have a guest speaker. We are going to have a guest speaker in our community. And our first guest speaker is none other than our bestie, Brandon Nerado, head coach of University of Michigan hockey. So hop on in the community, hop on live on a Zoom with us and Nar, and one of the smartest hockey people in the entire world. So really excited to talk about that. You can also see this next 10 questions coming out. Kevin Shier coming up soon. So Kev, thank you so much for this part of the podcast. We really appreciate it, and keep up the great work up there, man.
Thank you guys. Appreciate chatting with you. It's always awesome.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.